So one of the more frustrating problems that music listeners have been running into for decades now is this issue of storage space. Whether you're collecting CDs or vinyl, pretty soon you start amassing this big collection of music, and things start to get a little bit cluttered. Soon you're having to rearrange your living space, or you're misplacing things, or you're wondering, do I need to hang on to this record? Should I take it down to the used record store and sell it? Before long, it's this living nightmare for the music fan. Fortunately, the answer to a lot of your storage woes might be around the corner, and this is with cloud storage. Chances are you've heard of this before. A lot of companies recently have announced their own services, companies like Google, Apple, Amazon.com. There are these cloud-based music storage systems that allow you to store your entire digital music library remotely. And this is great news for a lot of fans because if you've got a smartphone, if you're just online, you can access your collection from almost anywhere. So what really interests me about these services, beyond the specifics like how much they're going to cost, whether or not they're a scan and match service, whether or not you upload things manually, what really interests me is how these services are going to affect and change the way that people consume music. Will they have a positive change on the music community? Will they change certain musical paths? Or will it be kind of a negative thing that just adds another layer to the nightmare that I was talking about earlier? So for the plus side, there's the obvious, which is I really like the idea of storing all of my digital music remotely. So that way my computer can run nicely and it can focus on processing information. You've got all these kids today who have so much music at their fingertips. It's really easy to educate yourself. Say you want to get a crash course in something like punk from the 70s and 80s. You can download entire discographies in a matter of minutes. If you're interested in something like serial composers from the 20s or experimental electronic music from the 50s and 60s, it's not that hard to find this stuff. When the music is all up in the cloud, it's going to be that much easier to find things. Plus, on top of that, it'll be legal. Some could argue that it's already up in the cloud right now, but you won't have to worry about any kind of legal repercussions. Another thing is the ability to pluck all of this music from the cloud, and it's not only going to change their tastes in music, but it's going to change the type of music that we create in the future. So it's going to be really easy for someone, say a musician in the future, to just cherry pick his or her favorite influences and combine them all into one unique thing that could be very special and even change the way music goes in the future, whatever path it's going to take. On the downside, however, I think we're going to start losing the obvious, which is the tangible aspect of music that a lot of record collectors like. So I think of the opposite of today's kids, and that's people growing up in the 70s, the 80s, and even the 90s, where you really had to search for music you identify with. You go to a record store, you spend hours browsing the shelves. Maybe you pick a record that you just like the cover art for, you haven't even heard a note from it. So you take the record home and you put it on your sound system, and it turns out you identify with the music even more than just the cover art, and it becomes this whole package. As music migrates to the cloud, I think we're going to lose that tangible feeling that we get from music, whether it's just looking at the cover art or reading the liner notes when you're listening to the music. And so there's a little bit of loss there. Of course, music history is filled with all these backlashes and these ups and downs, so it'll be interesting to watch the many reactions that will probably occur in the music community. I think it's going to change a lot about people's tastes in music, and I think it might even change the type of music we create. So that'll be interesting to watch and hear, and I'm sure it'll start happening a lot sooner than later.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit HowStuffWorks.com. And don't forget to check out our other podcasts, free, on iTunes.